rise. And he began to heal their sick and take care of them. All 5,000 of them, not counting women and children. And so the day went on, and at the end of the day, the disciples came to Jesus. They were always the practical ones, so they thought. And they said, don't we need to send these people away to get some food because you've been healing all day? And Jesus said, you give them something to eat. And the disciples said pretty much what I would say if I showed up at the Lord's kitchen and me with my cooking skills, and somebody said, you give them something to eat, I'd go, I got some chiclets out in the car. They said, we've got what? 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. And Jesus did the very thing that we do at the table. He said, bring them to me. And Jesus said the same prayer over them that we say at this table. It's called the Baruch. And I won't say the whole prayer, but what Jesus said is, blessed are you, King of the universe, who brings forth the bread and the wine. All that we have been given belongs to you. Take these 2 fish and these 5 loaves of bread and feed these 5,000 people. And I can imagine that the disciples went, okay, but we're going to run out soon. This week, as many of you know, I went to be with my mom and began the process of figuring out what we're going to do with the house that belonged to her and my father for 40 years. And she's not staying in the house. She's staying with my sister and my brother-in-law. But when I go home, we go to the house. And the neighbors, who have been wonderful about taking care of things, they knew we were there for a few days. And my mom's birthday was this week. And I wanted to take her out. We took her out the night before for her birthday with the great-grandkids and the grandkids. But on her birthday, it was just her and me. And I said, okay, Mom, let's go out again. We'll go to a restaurant at your birthday. You're 88. We're going to have a good time. And she said, I just want to stay home. And I bought these chicken wings. I thought, I know you love chicken wings. And we'll, fry up these chicken wings and we'll watch them. I said, okay, that sounds fine. So she got out the chicken wings and prepared them as only your mother can, because nobody can make chicken or anything like your mother. But all we had was chicken wings. So I said, this is going to be an interesting meal, but this is not the time to say, Mom, where's the rest of the meal? The doorbell rang. And the neighbor said, oh, Mrs. Thomas, we're so glad you're back in your house, and it's just so nice to see the lights on, and we just thought we'd bring over some rice. So we had chicken wings and rice. We took them in, and the doorbell rang again, and it was the neighbors. Oh, Mrs. Thomas, the peaches are growing. We've got these big, juicy peaches that have been growing, and we got too many. We thought you'd like some peaches. So we had peaches and rice and chicken. And the doorbell rang again, and it was the neighbors who lived to my mother's east, and they said, your husband was from Gainesville, Georgia, and he showed us how to grow greens. And we have been fixing these collards the way your husband fixed collards. We made these greens knowing you've been here for a couple of days, so we brought over these. So we had chicken and greens and rice and peaches, and somebody brought over something called Sister Schubert's rolls. And I'm not even going to tell you about Sister Schubert's rolls because you start testifying. They brought over Sister Schubert's. We had this meal that nobody planned. They were just so happy that my mother was back in her house. I believe when Jesus blessed those 2 fish and those 5 loaves of bread, those 5,000, and started to share. Those 5,000 people said, well, I've got a little something. Well, I've got a little something I can. Well, I've got a little something. Well, I've got a little something I can share. And there was food to go around to feed 5,000 people, not counting women and children. And 12 baskets were left over. Jesus went public because God, through Jesus, is so invested in us. And he says, she says, they says, whatever you want to call God, as I have invested in you, you invest in me. And you go public, Little Whitechapel, outside of these cool doors in this neighborhood, and share what you have. It may not seem like very much, but go forward knowing that I have blessed it. It is just what you need to do whatever you need to do. Whether it's at First Presbyterian in Burbank, whether it's down the hall in your social hall, whether it's out on Jeffries or out on Avon or any place that you see people needing a touch and a presence from God. I have blessed what you have been given. Go public. Would you pray with me? God, it often seems that the end of the month comes, or an emergency arises, and we are frightened. We're up against the wall because we can't figure out how to make ends meet. But you have never left us, and you have never forsaken us. And you constantly tell us that as we share what we have, so you will provide what we need and more. We thank you for your Son who came to live among us and show us the way. And we thank you for how he taught us to be your ambassadors. It's in his name we